What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you are a fan of the beautiful game, today is a great day. The English Premier League has finally returned after either 99 or 100 days off here. We have a huge showdown between Manchester City and Arsenal. I'm recording this at about 8:30 a.m. Central Time on Wednesday morning, and the 200K GPP has already filled. So great to see. For the sport of soccer as a DFS sport. So anyway, I'm a little late to the game here, but I wanted to put up a video talking about this massive slate because I think a ton of you will probably be interested in playing it. If you are interested in my written content, you can subscribe at numberball.com. I've got a full preview of the slate, my projections. I talk a bunch of strategy. So a lot of good stuff if you're interested in that. So in the video, I'm going to try and focus here mostly on, how I think these teams are going to line up, how the match might play out, and then, talk about some plays from a DFS perspective on DraftKings. So, I think a lot of people who are maybe casual fans of soccer are going to look at this and say, oh, Man City, Arsenal, we've got a matchup between, two big clubs here. Should be a close game. Well, not necessarily. Manchester City is the far superior team, at the moment. They sit much higher in the table, and they've just been a much more solid team overall this season. So they are favored by 1.5 goals here. Last I checked, they were minus 315 favorites. So they're significant favorites. And based on my own projections, I think this is a slate where you want to look at a 5-1 or a 4-2 City stack as the optimal way to go. So let's talk about the City lineup. This is from Fantasy Football Scout, probably the most reliable source there is for predicted lineups and team news in the English Premier League. I think this looks pretty accurate. The only change you might see is that David Silva could come in for Gundogan here. And if that's the case, you would see De Bruyne kind of slide back to this right-sided midfield role. Rodri would move to the center, and David Silva would be over here on the left of midfield, and then you'd have a front line of Sterling, Aguero, and Mahrez. But that would be the only change I might expect, is that David Silva would be in right there for Gundogan. But I believe the last time that Manchester City played Arsenal, Gundogan and Rodri played together centrally there. And Pep Guardiola will sometimes do this against opposition that's a bit stronger, although I'm not really sure we should classify Arsenal as stronger opposition based on the way these teams have played this season. Of course, we did have a 3-month layoff. The other interesting note is that Arsenal is managed by Michael Arteta, who is Pep Guardiola's former assistant at Manchester City. So he's going to be very familiar with Manchester City. I think if anyone knows how to set up defensively to stop them or frustrate them, it's going to be him. It's just a matter of whether the players can actually achieve that. So I think there is, you could see a match where, Arsenal tries to sit deep and play a lot of defense and then counterattack. That's generally the way that teams have been able to beat City. You've even seen teams like Norwich City do that earlier in the season. So just something to think about. But overall, this is a game where I expect that Manchester City will have more of the ball. They're going to have more of the chances, and they should ultimately win. That would be kind of the most likely outcome here. All right, to go back to the lineup here for Manchester City. So, if you know anything about soccer DFS, Kevin De Bruyne is the GOAT. He's taking a lot of the set pieces, although he and Mahrez, before the COVID layoff were essentially splitting. But De Bruyne has the highest floor on the team, a huge open play crosser. He'll shoot. He creates a ton of chances, and then he does take some corners and direct free kicks. But then the guy's also got a great ceiling. So, if we're talking about the best overall play in the slate, it probably has to be De Bruyne. That's why he's the highest priced player. But Mahrez is up there with him in terms of combining floor and upside. So another strong play. Aguero and Sterling, a little more boom or bust. I think they do have a decent floor from shots and creating chances in this match. But in order for these guys to pay off, you're going to want a goal. Aguero should be the PK taker. I know De Bruyne took a PK in the Champions League in the last match that City played, but Aguero was not on the field then. So if Aguero's on the field, he should be the PK taker. And by the way, he's facing David Luiz, who has been known to concede a penalty or two. All right. So if this is the lineup, Gundogan and Rodri are going to be sitting deeper. I don't recall the prices on him, but I think Rodri is significantly cheaper. So he's like a decent punt option. He has a floor from tackles and interceptions, but he's a guy that can easily come up with a goal. Moving back into defense, the way, City fullbacks don't typically cross a lot, but Sterling will tuck in. Mendy's going to overlap a bunch and be able to cross the ball. So I really like the floor of Mendy in a match where Arsenal might sit back. Kyle Walker is going to play a more defensive role. So he's kind of he's not your typical fullback with a great floor. But of course he is capable of getting forward and adding an assist or a goal. He just doesn't have the reliable floor that Mendy does. And then your center backs, Laporte, a really talented player on the ball. He can get involved in set pieces. So I do, sometimes you see in these City games where they dominate possession that a center back like Laporte will, be up on the edge of the 18 box of Arsenal for long stretches of the game while they dominate possession, which does give him the opportunity to, take a shot or create a chance. So that's what you like to see. All right, let's go down to Arsenal. All right. As far as the Arsenal lineup, this looks about right. The only other change would be that Lacazette could replace Nikita up top. But I think that Arteta will probably start Nikita because he'll work hard on defense, and then he can save, Lacazette to come off the bench in the second half when they're, most likely down or in a tied game and they need a goal. So I think this lineup looks pretty accurate. I think the way I'm going to approach it, if we're talking about like a cash or optimal bill, is just pay down for one Arsenal player and then get 5 City in. I think so. Let me talk about the set piece situation on Arsenal. We really don't know whether it's going to be Pepe or Ozil, or whether they're going to split. And so while I do like the floor of Pepe most of the time for a forward, you now have a situation where Ozil's taking away set pieces and then he's playing a possession dominant opponent. So I don't know that it's worth paying up for Pepe's floor. I'd be more inclined to look at like an Aubameyang or Nketiah to get a counter-attack goal. This is the guy that I'm probably looking at because he's really dangerous on the counter. But in terms of like paying down for an Arsenal option that I mentioned, Danny Ceballos, projects pretty well for me. Not a bad price at 5K. He's got I think he has a safer floor than Ozil, even with Ozil on set pieces, to be honest. If you really just want to punt, you could just take Mustafi, who I think will be the cheapest Arsenal starter. Bellerin, not reliable enough for me to look at in a cash or optimal build. Tierney is a guy that will cross the ball, but I don't know that I want to go there because of his price. You could make the argument that Granit Xhaka is going to do a lot of defensive work, and I think he's priced similarly to Mustafi. Yes, that pretty much covers it for Arsenal. I don't expect a lot of production out of them. I think what you're looking for is, maybe a counterattack goal. That's probably going to be, how they're going to approach this match. All right, well, that covers it. I want to keep it short and sweet. A lot of fun contests out there today for this Showdown slate. Should be a good sweat. And again, if you are interested in my article, you can check it out at numberball.com. And also, as I've mentioned previously, I will be putting out a ton of soccer videos. I'm going to try to do it on a daily basis. So please hit the subscribe button if you are interested in additional soccer content moving forward. I do appreciate it, and it lets me know that you are enjoying the content. Good luck out there today. 50K up for grabs in that main GPP. So somebody's going to be a whole lot richer at the end of this Showdown slate. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and good luck.